The Human Covenant War lasted for 27 years, spanned dozens of light years, hundreds of worlds, and included a dozen different species. With that scale of warfare, there's always a lot of fallout. Factions, warlords, and other opportunists who would seek to consolidate any power they could get their hands on. Now that Halo Empty Throne is out, plus the Halo Escalation comic series, we have a better picture of what the galaxy looks like by 2560. First is Jul 'Mdama's Covenant, formed in 2553 by Jul 'Mdama, a disillusioned elite who was not satisfied with how the Arbiter was making allies with humanity. This faction met its end in 2558, just before the events of Halo 5, with Jul's assassination. Merg Vol's Covenant. Headed by a zealot named Merg Vol, they attacked the human colony world of Drathus 5 in 2554 to obtain Forerunner technology. This faction was ended with Vol's death at the hands of Commander Palmer. The Keepers of the One Freedom, a brute faction that followed the teachings of the Covenant in the Great Journey. In 2559, they allied themselves with the Banished, then broke off again when they were able to get to the Ark, then were destroyed by the Banished. The Servants of the Abiding Truth. One of the first factions to emerge after the Great Schism in Halo 2, this order was led by a fanatical field marshal named Avu Med Telkam. Telkam was assassinated by a Spartan 3 in 2558, but the order lived on through Jul 'Mdama's son. The Covenant Remnant. Remember when Truth went through the Ark and the Dreadnought? Well, it's actually still intact on the Ark today, and was filled with loyal Covenant troops until the Banished raided it in 2559, effectively eliminating everybody aboard, plus the actions of the Keepers of the One Freedom when they teamed up. The Swords of St. Helios. Formed by the Arbiter himself, the Swords of St. Helios is a callback to ancient St. Heli times, when the major clans of their homeworld came together. They are still in operation under the Arbiter's leadership today. The Sanshium and the Order of Restoration. During the fall of High Charity, several high-ranking prophets disappeared and waited for their time to strike. Led by High Lord Dovo Nesto, they sought to restore the Covenant to their former glory, and are currently residing, or assumed to be residing, near the Forerunner Shield world named Cloister. The Banished. I think we all know who these guys are by now, but many ask, how did they come to be so powerful? Atriox was used as cannon fodder for years throughout the war, and towards the end, he was sick of it. He rose up from his St. Heli masters, along with several other brutes, and began raiding Covenant outposts for supplies. By the events of Halo Infinite, they are the largest threat in the galaxy. Selene Neon's Covenant, which is a splinter from Jul 'Mdama's Covenant. Created around 2558, Selene Neon broke off from Jul 'Mdama's Covenant and formed his own faction. He was captured by Jul's forces, imprisoned, but was later freed and restored his followership until 2559 when he perished. His warriors were absorbed into the Sanshium Covenant remnant. Voice of Mardoth. The brute chieftain named Hekabe was a shipmaster and traveled to the Ark in Halo 3 with the rest of the Covenant. While on the Ark, he found a precious weapon and defected from the Covenant at the same time. In 2558, he attacked a joint human St. Heli-occupied colony world and perished at the hands of Grey Team and several elites. Children of Oth-Sonnen. Created shortly after the fall of the Covenant in 2552, brute chieftain Lytus led this group and even tried to strike a peace deal with the Arbiter in 2558. After Cortana destroyed the brute homeworld, they sought refuge on an abandoned human colony world. Terra Lumi's faction. This elite and his followers were first seen in Halo Legends here. As of 2558, he is still at large somewhere in the galaxy. The UNSC and Oni. The UNSC, although scattered and disorganized because of Cortana's rule, is still the preeminent power in the galaxy post-war. Some might argue that the Banished have superseded them by now with the events of Halo Empty Throne. The New Colonial Alliance. Slapping a new name and fresh coat of paint on the insurrectionist movement formerly known as the United Rebel Front, the New Colonial Alliance is a consolidated faction opposing Earth rule. Under the leadership of Rebel Spartan 4, Ilsa Zane, the NCA has pledged fealty to the Banished. The Created. When Cortana sacrificed herself at the end of Halo 4, her mind ended up in the Domain. Here she found a, quote, way to prevent AI from going rampant, enticing human AI to her cause. In reality, she was still in late stages of rampancy and sought peace through Iron Rule. She was defeated at the beginning of Halo Infinite, and both the Banished and UNSC are attempting to ensure no other AI rise up in her place. If you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. Thank you for watching. Stick around for more Halo lore and content, and if you want me to cover a topic, drop it in the comments. See you next time, Spartans.